last year. So this slide in energy prices has shown deflation is here, at least in some parts of the world. Numerous other asset classes showing big moves as well. 10-year Treasury yields still below 2%. The dollar, a 9-year high versus the euro. Stocks around the world logging big losses in the past few days. Today, not one of them. It's a rebound day. But Jim Grant has a contrarian take on all these market signs. He is the editor of the largely followed and widely respected Grant's Interest Rate Observer. Glad to see you here in the new year.
Deirdre.
Happy New Year, belatedly. So deflation is here. That was the headline from one blog I read based off of the euro data. What is your take on that? Should we panic?
No.
Okay, good.
Deflation is a defined term. To me, it is a crisis of debt. People sell stuff because they have to. The banker calls and say, will you kindly repay that loan? And they say, yes. And to do so, they liquidate inventories, labor, buildings.
So what about this spiral? Does it come here?
Well, falling prices might also be construed as progress to the extent, for example, in this country, horizontal drilling, fracking, the terrific advances in drilling technology that have led North Dakota to become a major energy producer. These things are constructive. No, I mean they contribute to supply, and supply weighs on prices, and suddenly we have $2 and few cents gas some places. Well, is that deflation or is that progress?
Well, I think people think it's good until a point, right?
Well,
and then it becomes scary.
Here is the point. The point is when debt enters the picture. Energy producers, as the Wall Street Journal reported this morning, have become very big borrowers over the last 5 or 8 years. Why? Because central banks have suppressed interest rates and they have found it expedient and profitable to borrow. And now, facing the pressing calls of their bankers, they must produce more oil to meet those demands to pay off fixed charges, interest expense. So worldwide debt has grown much faster than incomes in recent years. Now that is a deflationary force. The improvement of productive techniques that leads to lower prices, I call that something else again. Moore's law tells us that general computing power doubles every 18 months. Well, the Fed's got no control over that. That is by now a force of Silicon Valley enhanced nature. So I think we ought to be careful in not conflating the signs of material progress with the...
So to you, these prices coming down is still at relatively healthy levels. I'm not talking about the connection to the debt markets,
yeah,
just in and of themselves.
Yes, well, the debt markets, Deirdre, are historically fascinating. I mean, interest rates, for example, the Chancellor of the Exchequer in Britain announced that he was prepared to refinance perpetual British debt, some of it issued as long ago as 1751. So we're talking about
we're at historical records here.
Multi-century lows in interest rates. Now, so old and gray am I that I was around and paying attention in the early 1980s when interest rates, long-term Treasury yields, topped nearly 15% at the end of September 1981. And people said, the debt markets are telling us something. They're telling us that Weimar Germany is around the corner. These are desperate times, and the bond market knows something that we don't know. What the bond market knew was interest rates had been rising for then 35 years, and the muscle memory of the market told people, or indicated to them in a sub-intellectual way, that interest rates would continue to rise more or less in perpetuity. Well, here we are, not quite, but almost 35 years later, and interest rates are knuckle-dragging the ground.
Below 2% for the 10-year.
Well,
and I mean, European debt is the same.
In Switzerland, there is a 3-year maturity that is priced to yield minus 25, 1/4%. And money invested continuously at that handsome rate will be sawed in half in about 270 years. So these rates, I say, are not only low, but they are historically low. They are uniquely low, and they're telling us perhaps the trend is overshot.
The trend is overshot. We know that savers have been punished, or you have to live to be 350 to take advantage of your savings.
The trouble with the idea that this is overshot is that 100%, not 98.6, 100% of the economists surveyed by Bloomberg say they expect rates to go up in 2015. So one must be prepared for a blow-off rally in bonds, which is to say another massive crush down in yields, even from these levels.
Even from these levels.
But I can say without fear of contradiction, I think, that we are closer to the end than the beginning of a bull market in bonds that began in 1981.
As for stocks, I know you have said you think that the central banks essentially flooding the system with money is going to cause a recession.
Well, no, we will have a recession. And so I think that the great question is one of the great questions in 2015 is what do they do for an encore? I mean, we don't know when the next recession will come, nor do we know when the next bear equity market will come.
But you said they are coming sooner versus later.
Well, they come because they come. I have no inside information on when, but I think a question for everyone who holds cash balances is, so what do they do, the central bankers, the great stewards of our lives, what do they do the next time to pull us out of the ditch? They won't do nothing, that's for sure.
What do you think the ECB, I mean, we know what they're preparing to do, will they do more?
Well, I mean, they have been reading in the papers, as we all have, that they got nothing, that they will prepare to disappoint us because they must conform to a Euro-wide consensus of opinion, and this will serve to disappoint the market rather than to excite it. So I don't know. I mean, we're so far from Europe here in New York. I expect the ECB will do something that it deems to be dramatic.
Just like you think New York is close to the U.S. But Jim, I have to ask you before we let you go, one prediction for this year. I heard one, but I'm asking for another one for this year.
My goodness.
Markets related.
Markets related. Well, I think that interest rates will make a low, perhaps this year, and what will follow is a generation plus bear market in bonds, which will result in interest rates actually, prepare yourself for this, Deidre, interest rates actually going up.
Okay. I am very glad you made that. We're writing this day down.
I'm glad you asked.
I am so glad, Jim Grant. Thank you for coming in. We love seeing you.
You're entirely welcome.
Jim Grant joining us there of Grant's Interest Rate Observer.